when you thought things could not get any worse, Nafisa Collier officially canceled the meeting with WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelberg.
So, this whole situation just got absolutely wild. And Nafisa Collier has officially canceled her big meeting with WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelberg, and honestly, this could completely blow up the 2026 season. People are calling it the point of no return. You've got the league's biggest star basically telling the commissioner, nope, not happening. Now what's crazy is, do you even think the WNBA can bounce back from something like this? Because this might be the most chaotic week the league has seen in years. Nafisa Collier, she's an MVP runner-up, an Olympian, and a total leader in the Players' Union, just pulled out of her scheduled sit-down with Engelberg. That meeting was supposed to be the moment everyone finally took a breath and calmed down after weeks of fighting. But instead, it's totally off. Done. And the reason is pretty simple. Cathy Engelberg actually went on stage right before Game 1 of the WNBA Finals and pretty much called Collier a liar on live television.
Cathy Engelberg's meeting with Nafisa Collier has been canceled. Fee is pissed, livid about the rhetoric that Cathy Engelberg spewed on that podium before Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. It is looking like...
Listen, that press conference was supposed to be all about the game, right? But nope. Engelberg totally pivoted and started talking about what she called false reports. She claimed she never said those things. Collier accused her of, especially that super famous line about Caitlin Clark needing to be grateful for her off-court earnings. And boom, that was it. Everything just broke. For Nafisa Collier, that wasn't just a simple denial. That was a full-on public slap in the face. You have to remember what Collier had said just a week before. She stood up, spoke her mind, and detailed how poorly the league is being run, how bad the officiating has gotten, and how players are constantly disrespected. She wasn't just complaining, she was sharing facts. These were things every single player had been talking about for months.
That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league.
And get this, Collier had shared details from her private chat with Engelberg. In that conversation, the commissioner supposedly said things like, only losers complain about refs. Plus, she allegedly told Collier that Caitlin Clark should just be grateful for the platform the WNBA provides her.
Take a moment to address some important conversations happening across the WNBA, including remarks made earlier this week by Nafisa Collier. First, let me repeat this. You saw it in my statement, but I have the utmost respect for Nafisa and for every single player in our league. They are at the center of everything we do. I was disheartened to hear that some players feel the league and me personally do not care about them or listen to them. And if the players in the W don't feel appreciated and valued by the league, then we have to do better and I have to do better. We know how great these players are on and off the court, how much they mean to our league, our fans, and our communities. If they don't feel that, I will do everything I can to change that. No one should ever doubt how deeply I care about this league, this game, and every single player who makes the WNBA what it is.
So, when Engelberg went on camera and denied everything in front of reporters, it was like she was looking every player directly in the eye and saying, "You're all making this up." That is absolutely not how you fix a league that's already struggling to stay together. And it wasn't just Collier getting aid either. Every single player in the league had her back. Sophie Cunningham spoke out. Brianna Stewart liked posts supporting her. Even Caitlin Clark, who usually stays away from any kind of drama, said Collier made a ton of valid points. So, when Engelberg denied everything, that wasn't just a bad PR move. That was career suicide. Now Collier is completely done talking. She officially canceled their meeting that was planned for this week. ESPN sources are saying the relationship between the two is beyond repair. That phrase alone should honestly scare the league to death. Because Collier isn't just some random player. She's the vice president of the WNBA Players Association. That means if she's done with Engelberg, the entire union is done with Engelberg.
Like, we may not have a 2027 a 2026 WNBA season.
Look, no trust means no talks. No talks mean no CBA deal. And without a CBA deal, there's no season. That's seriously where we're at right now. And it's wild how quickly this whole thing blew up. Just a couple of weeks ago, the league was celebrating its best TV ratings ever. Caitlin Clark was literally the face of the future. Sponsors were lining up, and everyone was saying, this is the WNBA's moment. But here we are. One bad press conference, one angry player, and the whole thing could just collapse before the 2026 season even begins. It's almost impressive how fast the WNBA manages to shoot itself in the foot sometimes. But here's the thing. Collier had every right to be upset. She really put her whole career on the line by speaking out against the commissioner. Players don't usually do that. Instead of acknowledging her points or meeting her halfway, Engelberg went into full-on corporate CEO defense mode. She sounded like she was just trying to protect stock prices. Lots of inaccuracies out there, she said. You know, social media reporting. Right, because every time a player complains, it's just social media noise. That's the exact same tone she used last year when players were begging for charter flights and complaining about exhaustion. She just gave them the same old line, "We're looking into it." Translation: we don't actually care right now. That's the real problem, actually. Engelberg runs the WNBA like she's reading from a business report, not like it's a sports league. Every answer sounds like it came straight out of a PowerPoint presentation. Meanwhile, players are getting fined for saying the refs are bad, and they're just begging for basic respect. So when Nafisa spoke out, she was really just saying what everyone else was too afraid to. That's why canceling this meeting is such a huge deal. It shows she's done playing the PR game. She's telling the league, we're not doing this behind closed doors anymore. You lied about me publicly, so we're done. That's not just anger, that's strategy. Because think about what's coming next. The collective bargaining agreement is about to expire. That's the huge deal that sets salaries, benefits, and how the money gets split. The deadline is at the end of this month. Players and owners are supposed to be negotiating right now, and their lead player negotiator just canceled her meeting with the commission. That's like calling off peace talks 5 minutes before a war starts. And it gets even worse. If the players don't sign a new deal by the deadline, the league automatically goes into lockout status. That means no one gets paid. No one can train at team facilities. Sponsors pull out, TV contracts get paused. Basically, everything just stops. With how bad things are between the players and Engelberg right now, a lockout is starting to look very, very real. ESPN even quoted a source, saying players just don't feel like they can negotiate with her anymore. So what happens next? Some people are already saying Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, might have to step in and literally fire Cathy Engelberg just to save the league. That's how bad this has gotten. Because if Collier won't meet with her, no other player will. And if no player will, there is no CBA. And if there's no CBA, there is no 2026 season. It's that simple. Honestly, let's just call this what it is. A complete meltdown at the very top. And this isn't like it came out of nowhere either. Players have been unhappy for months. We've seen Sophie Cunningham rant about leadership. Alyssa Thomas got ejected for questioning refs. Elena Della Dunn even retired without so much as a thank you from the league office. How does that even happen? There are only 44 players in the WNBA, and you can't even send an email to a Hall of Famer. Come on. The players see all that, they notice how little effort leadership shows them, and then they're told to be grateful. That's exactly why they're so angry. And Nafisa Collier was the one who finally had the courage to just say it all out loud. But now, because she said it, we might not have a league at all next year. Think about how insane that sounds. a league that was just starting to truly grow again might completely collapse because the commissioner couldn't handle some criticism and decided to correct the record on live television. You really can't make this stuff up. And let's not ignore the timing either. This all blew up right before the finals, the biggest stage of the season. Instead of everyone talking about the Aces and the Mercury, every single headline was about Cathy Engelberg versus Nafisa Collier. That's what you call a PR nightmare. And guess who usually gets blamed for it? The players. You just know the league office is gonna turn around and say, "This is why we can't increase salaries. Look at all the bad press." It's always the same tired cycle. But the truth is, this is not a player problem. This is a leadership problem. The commissioner's job is to protect both the league and its players. If you can't do both of those things, you shouldn't have the job. And right now, Cathy Engelberg is failing on both counts. Now let's get into what this all means long term. Because this is way more than just drama. This could literally decide if the WNBA even has a 2026 season. Right now, both sides are locked in this silent standoff. The players are furious. The commissioner looks totally lost, and the owners are pretending everything is fine while probably praying the NBA steps in to clean up the mess. And you know who's right in the middle of all of this? Caitlin Clark. Because every decision, every argument, and every headline somehow comes back to her name. She's like the only player in the league that everyone, fans, owners, players can agree makes money. And that's exactly the issue here. The WNBA finally found a breakout star who fills arenas, but instead of building around her, the league managed to turn her into a reason for chaos. Seriously, Cathy Engelberg should have been publicly thanking her, building entire campaigns around her, maybe even working out TV deals centered on her matchups. But instead, she went and made her the center of a political war. Now Caitlin's name is being thrown around in every CBA conversation, and she hasn't said a single bad word about anyone. That's how incredibly messy this has become. And then there's Unrivaled. That's the off-season league started by Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart. This could actually become the WNBA's biggest headache. Because if there's a lockout and the WNBA shuts down for a season, guess where all the top players are going to go? Straight to Unrivaled. It's already built to compete. They've got sponsors, gyms, and enough big names to run a solid product. So if the WNBA collapses, even for just a year, players won't be sitting at home. They'll be playing in a league owned by their own teammates. That makes this whole thing even more awkward. Because from the outside, it kinda looks like Collier benefits no matter what. If the WNBA gets its act together, she wins as a player. If it crashes, her new league becomes the go-to alternative. You can call that smart business or a conflict of interest. But either way, Cathy Engelberg looks like she's losing control of the whole situation. And let's be real, she's not built for this kind of chaos. She came from Deloitte, a corporate world where people say things like synergy and pipeline optimization. That's fine when you're balancing spreadsheets. But this is professional sport. You can't just talk your way out of public beef with players who have millions of fans watching their every move. At this point, it feels like the players don't even want reform. They want replacement. They want Engelberg gone. Fans online are already calling for Adam Silver to fire her before the new year. And honestly, that might be the only way this gets fixed. Because right now, every single problem, from ticket sales to officiating to player safety, all comes back to leadership. You can't expect trust from players when your commissioner's first move after criticism is to go on stage and say, actually, they're wrong. So yeah, Nafisa canceling that meeting was absolutely huge. It wasn't just personal, it was a message. It said, we're done being polite. And honestly, who can blame her? The players have tried everything. They've held meetings, spoken publicly, and even risked fines. The league's response, denial and silence. The WNBA loves saying, we're growing the game. But how are you growing anything when your players feel completely ignored? Let's be honest, the only reason the league hasn't completely fallen apart yet is because the players keep saving it. The same athletes they underpay are the ones keeping it alive. Caitlin Clark brings in the fans. Angel Reese brings in the headlines. Ajo Wilson brings in championships. Meanwhile, the people running the league bring in bad press. If this keeps up, 2026 won't just be cancelled. It might be the year the players actually take full control. And that's the part that should scare the WNBA office the most. Because if the players figure out they don't need the league to survive, it's over. They'll take their fan bases, their sponsors, and their star power and just build something new. And the sad part, the fans lose out too. Because for once, people were actually watching women's basketball again. The Caitlin Clark effect was totally real. The Fever were selling out arenas. Kids were buying jerseys. For the first time in years, it really felt like momentum was building. And now, it's all just slipping away because one executive couldn't handle being called out. If the league truly cared about growth, they'd fire Engelberg tomorrow and start rebuilding relationships with the players. Because right now, there's no coming back from this unless someone steps in fast. The CBA deadline is closing in, the union isn't talking, and the fans are watching the whole thing crumble in real time. So here we are, one canceled meeting away from a canceled season. Do you think Nafisa did the right thing by walking away, or should she have met with Cathy anyway? Drop your thoughts below. I really want to hear what you think. And if you're new here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.